Hi everyone, it's Lindy on from Pink Whisper Designs. Today I've got a super easy, fun paper layering card. We're going to use some pattern papers and some layering techniques. I'm going to show you one kind of faux layer that we're going to create using some masking tape, but it's really simple and easy to do, and we're going to be using some beautiful images from Art Impressions today. So let's get started by stamping some images, and I'm using the My Trust set. This is part of the Art Impressions Bible journaling series, and later on we'll be using that little speckled dot stamp, but we're going to, for now, grab the flowers and some leaves, and you can see that you also get several coordinating sentiments that work really well in your Bible journaling. I've got those flowers and the set of leaves, and then we're also going to grab that cute little bird as well. So I'm going to stamp those onto some Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock, and I'll stamp about 4 sets of the leaves. Now for coloring, I've got pale violet, and we'll be coloring all these sets of flowers the exact same way. I'll just show you the first one. I started with the pale violet and added a little bit of that violet for the shadowing, and then I'm using my Zig blender pen to do my blending. So these are the Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens, and these are a water-based pen. So I'm going to quickly color this in and just kind of add some shadowing here and there. And all of the colors I'm using are listed in the upper left-hand corner as we're going along. And again, I'll just show you this one set of flowers, and then I will color those other 2 sets the same way. I'm going for basically a color combination that's kind of teals and lavenders or purples. I just thought that would be really pretty. And the paper pack we're going to be using is all of those colors. So we're going to have a really pretty lavender and white polka dot as a layer, and then a really pretty plaid pattern as well. And then we're also going to die cut a really beautiful frame, and I'm going to show you how to give that kind of a faux additional layer. We're going to be masking it off and adding some ink blending around the edges to give us kind of a faux layer. So the card will appear to have 6 layers on it, but it will really only have the 5, and then we'll add a floral arrangement to this as well. Now, ice blue and Persian green will be the 2 colors I'll use to do all the leaves. So again, I'm going for that more turquoisey kind of look, but you could certainly do these in your bright greens or your olive greens. The olive greens are really pretty with the lavender colors, but I wanted to coordinate with that paper pack that we're going to be using, and I'll show you that up close here in a second. So I did the little clusters of leaves with those same 2 colors, and I did all of those the same way. So I'll finish all that up off camera. And then a little bit of light pink on the cheeks of my bird. And then with blue gray and aquamarine blue, I'll color in the rest of the bird. Do keep in mind that all the products I'm using today are listed and linked down below and also on my blog. And it does help to support my channel if you use those links. I receive a small commission, but it's at no additional cost to you. So I do appreciate if you use those links when and if you are going to make a purchase. So here you can see again, I'm just adding a little bit of shadowing to the bird. I just thought this bird was just so beautiful. I'm going to tuck the bird down into a little bouquet of flowers in the lower left-hand corner of our card. So this is going to fit nicely. So I don't need to worry about that branch. I did color in his little legs and feet, but I really didn't need to. None of that is going to show. So you can just skip coloring in the branch underneath there. I've got scarlet red for the beak. I'm putting a little bit on the base of the beak, and then I'll just pull that out towards the tip of the beak. And then with the light brown, I did the little legs and feet, but again, you didn't need to do that because that won't show. With my detail scissors, I'm cutting around these images. There are no dies for these images, but I'm going to leave a little white border around the edges so it's really easy to cut out. And this is the Decorative Journal page number 1 set. And that larger one creates a page for your journal. And then you get these two little frames. I'm going to use this one. This one is absolutely gorgeous. It's got this really pretty kind of detailed eyelet border around the edges. So I'll go back to some Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock, and then I'm using my Spellbinders Tool in one just to pop out all those little pieces. You just want to roll that little bristle end along the die and along your cardstock if there's any left, and then you have that little pokey end of the tool where you can pop out any little leftover pieces, and that frame I just think is absolutely gorgeous. Now here's where we're going to give it kind of a faux additional layer. So I'm going to mask off the detail portion of this frame, and I'm using some Post-it tape. This is a temporary tape, so when we're done with our ink blending, we'll easily be able to remove this. And I'm just lining it up with that detail on all four sides. You do want to make sure you press it down really well so that when we do our ink blending, no ink goes in underneath there. So I've got that masked off nicely, and I'm pressing that out really well. And then I'm going to grab the Tim Holtz Distress ink in the Speckled Egg. I reach for this one a lot when I want a really subtle background. I kind of want to give it the look of sky. It's just kind of a neutral background where it's not too bold. It just kind of finishes things off but gives that subtle look. You could use a light gray here or even a light beigey color. Like you could go to one of your browns in the Distress Oxide line. And that would give it a little bit more of an antique-y look. Now, as I mentioned before, we're going to grab this little speckled stamp. And I love this. This is great for backgrounds, great for filling in things. And if you are spatter challenged, and I know some of you have told me that you are, that it's difficult for you to spatter a background, this little stamp will solve that problem. You just want to ink it up and stamp it on your background. If it's too dark, you can always tap the stamp off onto some scrap paper first and then go to your background if you want to get a lighter look of spattering. So you can see that there, it just adds a lot of interest and texture to that panel. So when we remove that Post-it tape, you can see that that looks like another layer on our card. Let's go back to those flowers that we colored in. I let those sit and dry. I'm going to come in with the Wink of Stella clear glitter pen, and I'm going to add a little sparkle to all of these flowers. Now, because the Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens are a water-based marker, you want to be kind of careful when you're going over the top of these. You did spend the time doing your shadowing and shading, so you don't want to undo any of that. If you're using your Copic markers, you don't have to worry about that at all. Those will not move around when you're doing this blending or when you're adding your Wink of Stella clear glitter. So let's set those aside to dry completely. And then I'm going to take the Encouragement Sentiment set. This has beautiful sentiments on it. They're just so sweet and so kind. I really love this set. And we're going to stamp a sentiment there on the right-hand side of that little panel that we just die cut. And it's going to say, healing thoughts sent your way to lift your spirits to a brighter day. And I just think that is so beautiful. So let's build a standard A2 size card base. So this measures 8.5 by 5.5, and we're going to score it at 4.25. And then let's grab some beautiful papers to do our paper layering. So I've got the Art Impressions Encouragement paper pack. So this is part of that encouragement series. Goes along with those sentiments that we just used. And you can see it's a double-sided paper, and I'll just flip quickly through it, but I love these kind of teal blues and greens and these beautiful lavenders and purples. So to start off, we're going to cut this polka dot paper at 4 inches by 5.25 inches. That'll be the layer on the bottom of the front of the card. And we'll have that little white border showing around for the card. And then with this plaid paper, I'm cutting this to 4.75 by 3.25. Now we'll want to cut a little white piece or some white paper for behind that plaid. So we'll have white and the pattern paper, and then white, and then the pattern paper, and then the frame will look white on our top layer. So we're just going to kind of coordinate all of that together. So let's start by gluing down this first layer. I'm using the Nuvo Deluxe adhesive to attach these together. That gives me a little time to slide these around if I need to. And then I've got that white piece of paper that I cut a little bit larger than that plaid one. So again, we'll have that pretty white border. And we're going to pop this up on the card. So I've got some scrapbook.com 3D foam squares. These are the larger foam squares. And what's nice about the foam squares that scrapbook.com has is they come in different thicknesses. So you can kind of find the one that's right for you. This one, I believe, is the large 3 millimeter, so it's fairly thick. So I'm going to layer that on to the card. So again, we have some nice dimension already. And then this piece will get layered up as well. So I'm going back to those same foam squares, and I'm going to add those all around the back. Now to remove the backing, I'm just using that Cricut weeding tool, and I'll just kind of use that pokey end and just pop those backings right off. And then we'll center this. So now you can see that nice layering that we have and a lot of dimension. Now with the flowers, I'm going to create a little flower arrangement down here in the left-hand corner. And we're going to add that little bird to this. I'm going to kind of have him sitting right on top of these flowers. So you can see that his little feet in that branch don't show, so you don't need to worry about coloring those in. And then I'm just laying this out, and we can go ahead and glue this to the corner of the card. And this is the fun part, just kind of moving things around and deciding where you want everything to be. And then I'll add some glue to each of these pieces, and we'll go ahead and attach this. Now this is another place where you could add some dimension by adding some foam squares. So keep that in mind. I am going to just kind of curl up the leaves and the flowers with my fingers once we're done, just to give it a little bit more dimension. Once I added those 2 layers of foam squares, I didn't really want to add another layer. So I kind of just opted to glue all of these flat, but again, you certainly could pop some of these up. So we created a little nest for our bird, and then I'm going to let that dry. So I'm just putting something heavy on there, and I'll let that dry. Once it was dry, I'm coming in again with like my fingers and with my tweezer just to curl up the little petals on the leaves and the flowers, just to give it a little dimension. Just brings it to life a little bit more rather than it being just totally flat on the card. Now I've got these beautiful Buttons Galore and More. These are called mix-ups. And this little set is called the Shell Beach. So it really is kind of for your summertime shaker cards and whatnot. But I thought this would be really pretty to use some of these teal gems. But there's little circular gems in there. There's circular pink and lavender ones, which would be perfect for a shaker card. So keep that in mind. But I grabbed some of the little teal gems, and I'm going to add those all around this little arrangement. That one there that I just added, I will end up removing that one because I decided to add a bow to this. And I'm going to use some white twine from Fawn to tie a pretty bow, and we'll pop it right underneath that bird. So I went ahead off camera and I assembled that little bow, and I did remove that little gem that was right there. I'm going to put some glue over it, and then we'll attach this bow. And I'm going to use my reverse tweezers just to clamp that down. That'll hold that for me while it dries. So let's take a closer look at the finished card. You can see all these easy layers we have. This is super easy, simple cutting, and a simple masking technique to do that kind of faux layer that we talked about before. So I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a single video. Thanks so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you all have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.